Hello, fellow patriots. The following montage of videos depict the truth concerning the laws, regulations, policies that have been discussed, voted on, funded, and yet were never truly enforced. Listen as the Clintons and Obama reference the need to stem the flow of illegal immigrants, and notice it's nothing new, although the left wants to blame President Trump. Enjoy and stay tuned for more upcoming episodes from Patriot Radio America.
And she says, there's been no acknowledgement by any of the presidential candidates of the negative economic impact of immigration on the African American community. How do you propose to address the high unemployment rates and the declining wages in the African American community that are related to the flood of immigrant labor? Senator Obama, you want to go first on that? And it's for both of you all.
Well, let me first of all say that I have worked on the streets of Chicago as an organizer with people who've been laid off from steel plants, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, and all of them are feeling economically insecure right now, and they have been for many years. Before the latest round of immigrants showed up, you had huge unemployment rates among African American youth. And so I think to suggest somehow that the problem that we're seeing in inner city unemployment, for example, is attributable to immigrants, I think is a case of scapegoating that I do not believe it. I do not subscribe to. But let's understand more broadly that the economic problems that African Americans are experiencing, whites are experiencing, blacks and Latinos are experiencing in this country are all rooted in the fact that we have had an economy out of balance. We've had tax cuts that went up instead of down. We have had a lack of investment in basic infrastructure in this country. Our education system is chronically underfunded. And so there are a whole host of reasons why we have not been generating the kinds of jobs that we are generating. We should not use immigration as a tactic to divide. Instead, we should pull the country together to get this economy back on track. That's what I intend to do as President of the United States of America.
Be deported, but for the vast majority of people who are here, we will give you a path to legalization if you meet the following conditions. Pay a fine because you entered illegally, be willing to pay back taxes over time, try to learn English, and we have to help you do that because we've cut back on so many of those services, and then you wait in line. That not only is, I think, the best way to approach the problem of our 12 to 14 million who are here, but that also says to Kim, this is the best answer as well, because once we have those conditions met and people agree, then they will not be in a labor market that undercuts anybody else's wages.
Senator.
And therefore, it's imperative we approach it this way. Only after people have agreed to these conditions, Doyle, and that they have been willing to say, yes, they will meet those conditions, do I think we ought to talk about privileges like driver's licenses. Because otherwise, I think you will further undermine the labor market for people like the ones Kim is referring to. We need to solve this problem, not exacerbate it, and that's what I intend to do as president.
All right. We're going to follow up. Senator Obama, in an interview with CNN this week, you said this. You said, quote, "I stood up for a humane and intelligent immigration policy in a way that, frankly, none of my other opponents did." What did you mean by that?
Well, what I meant was that when this issue came up, not driver's license, but comprehensive immigration reform generally, I worked with Ted Kennedy, I worked with Dick Durbin, I worked with John McCain, although he may not admit it now, to move this issue forward aggressively. And it's a hard political issue. Let's be honest. This is not an issue that polls well, but I think it is the right thing to do. And I think we have to show leadership on the issue. And it is important for us, I believe, to recognize that the problems that workers are experiencing generally are not primarily caused by immigration.
But
there are no doubt.
Senator Clinton's policy was not, in your words, humane?
That is what I said was that we have to stand up for these issues when it's tough, and that's what I've done. I did it when I was in the state legislature, sponsoring the Illinois version of the DREAM Act, so that children who are brought here through no fault of their own are able to go to college. Because we actually want well-educated kids in our country who are able to succeed and become part of this economy and part of the American dream.
Was she lacking on that front?
Wolf, you keep on trying to
I'm just trying to find out what you mean.
There are those who were opposed to this issue, and there have been those who have flipped on the issue and have run away from the issue. This wasn't directed particularly at Senator Clinton, but the fact of the matter is I have stood up consistently on this issue. On the driver's license issue, I don't actually want, I don't believe that we're going to have to deal with this if we have comprehensive immigration reform, because as I said before, people don't come here to drive, they come here to work. And if we have signed them up, if we have registered them, if they have paid a fine, if they are learning English, if they are going to the back of the line, if we fix our legal immigration system, then I believe we will not have this problem of undocumented workers in this country, because people will be able to actually go on a pathway to citizenship. That, I think, is the right approach for African Americans. I think it's the right approach for Latinos. I think it's the right approach for white workers here in the United States.
I want to let Senator, why not then, if you're that passionate about it, let them get driver's licenses?
Well, we disagree on this. I do not think that it is either appropriate to give a driver's license to someone who is here undocumented, putting them, frankly, at risk, because that is clear evidence that they are not here legally. And I believe it is a diversion from what should be the focus at creating a political coalition with the courage to stand up and change the immigration system.
Yeah, the only point I would make is Senator Clinton, gave a number of different answers over the course of 6 weeks on this issue, and that did appear political. Now, at this point, she's got a clear position, but it took a while. And, I'm just being, just in fairness, initially in a debate you said you were for it. Then you said you were against it. And the only reason I bring that up is to underscore the fact that this is a difficult political issue. Now, from my perspective, I agree with Bill Richardson that there is a public safety concern here, and that we're better off, because I don't want a bunch of hit-and-run drivers because they're worried about being deported, and so they don't report an accident. That is a judgment call. But I do think it is important to recognize that this can be tough, and the question is, who is going to tackle this problem and solve it?
That was actually the one kind of shocking moment for me in the debate. I thought that Hillary seemed very bad tonight on Iraq, but on that immigration issue, that's the one other time when I made notes. So I looked down at my notes and I said, Hillary says that African Americans should scapegoat Latino immigrants for taking their jobs. She specifically said African American. She referenced a personal interaction with an African American man who had lost his job and believed it was because of Latino immigrants. Barack Obama had said, let's not scapegoat anybody. African Americans were having high unemployment rates before the current wave of immigrants that we know we're talking about here. And Hillary Clinton essentially said, well, I don't know why we shouldn't scapegoat them. I mean, it wasn't in that blunt of terms, but it was. She was putting the wedge between Latinos and blacks.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace, as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. When I took office, I committed to fixing this broken immigration system, and I began by doing what I could to secure our borders. But today, our immigration system is broken, and everybody knows it. There are actions I have the legal authority to take as president, Tonight, I'm announcing those actions. We'll build on our progress at the border with additional resources for our law enforcement personnel so that they can stem the flow of illegal crossings and speed the return of those who do cross over. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. We expect people who live in this country to play by the rules. We expect that those who cut the line will not be unfairly rewarded. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half-century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, question my authority, question my authority, question my authority, question my authority, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer. Pass a bill.
We do not want to do anything to encourage more illegal immigration into this country.
We have to stop the inflow of illegals coming into our country.
Mexican government's policies are pushing migration north.
The Mexican government is much smarter, much sharper, much more cunning, and they send the bad ones over because they don't want to pay for them, they don't want to take care of them.
Look, I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in.
We will build a wall. It will do what it's supposed to do. Keep illegal immigrants out.
If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be obviously deported.
And some of these people are causing tremendous problems. All you have to do is look at the crime wave. If I'm elected, they're going to be out of there day one.
I voted for border security, and some of it was a fence. I don't think we ever called it a wall. Maybe in some places it was a wall.
We're going to have a border. It's going to be a real border.
You know, secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary. We need to have tougher employer sanctions.
We have a country, we have to have borders. We have borders, we have to have laws. We either have a country or we don't.